being here as well. And this is not something that I shine on. It's not something I like to do, but sometimes you find yourself being asked to do things, and you kind of got to step into it. One of the first things I like to say is that I consider myself an extremely blessed man. A lot of things go on in our lives, and sometimes we don't see it, but I know that God's really blessed me a lot. And typically when somebody walks up to you, they say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And you're like, "Hey, I'm doing well," or "Everything's going good." For me, for the most part, I say I'm blessed. And my wife gives me grief about that. She says I say it too much, but I think that's really, really true. I used to say that I was the luckiest man in the world. I'm the luckiest man standing in these shoes or sitting in this chair. And I met a pastor one time, and he was a big influence on me. He's like, there's no such thing as luck. It's a blessing. So I'm going to give my testimony here, and do me a favor, if you know my wife, and this is a bomb, don't tell her. She has me on a pedestal, and I don't want to ruin that for her. Okay, but I was blessed, and the Lord and Savior. I know it's because He died for my sins, so I know how important that is. So again, thank you, and for allowing me to be here and to give my testimony. And I would much prefer us to do this one-on-one, cup of coffee, that kind of stuff. But it's not how it's going to go tonight. But we'll see how this turns out. So I was born in 1965 in Louisville, Kentucky. My mom, she was married, and within 2 years she was divorced, and then she found herself pregnant with me. And that was a really tough time for her. And so when she found out she was pregnant, my biological father, he wasn't interested. He told her he didn't want any kids, so he split. Never met the guy, didn't even know his name. There was no child support, anything like that. So it was kind of a tough thing for me growing up, but it's okay. It didn't really bother me that much because God was blessing me the whole time. My mom did struggle with that, so she took her first son and she asked her mom and dad to take care of him temporarily. Within that time, though, she met Pat, the guy I call Dad. They got married and had 2 kids, 2 daughters. I have 2 sisters. But the thing about Pat, my dad, is that he always treated me like his son. It was never anything other than I was his son the whole time. And eventually he adopted me, which was a blessing. When my dad got married, we talked a little bit about the fact that my brother was not with us, and it was something that really bothered him. He wanted to bring my brother back home with him, or with us, but my grandparents weren't going to have any of that. So there was a lot of threats and things like that. And so to keep things peaceful, they let my brother stay with them. The situation was stressful for all of us. I didn't really know my brother that well. We did visit on a regular basis. And some families experience abuse, and we weren't exempt from that. There was a lot of mental and physical abuse, mostly the mental stuff from my brother living with my grandparents, who were very, very strict. And when you broke the rules, and you got punished for it. But I thought I was lonely until I started recognizing where my brother was and how much loneliness he was going through. I love my brother very much, but again, we didn't have a very good relationship. A couple of years ago, he was going through a hard time with alcohol, and I was fortunate enough to be able to fly up there and work with my sisters, and we tried to take care of him. Get him into AA, rehab, anything to like help him get through this, but it didn't work out. He ended up in the hospital, and his body gave out, and he passed away. So when I think about how lonely I felt throughout my life, I can always go back and look at how bad my brother had it. So it was just kind of tough. So, but let's moving on to something that's a little more pleasant. Both my parents, my mom and my dad, came from rural Kentucky. My mom came from Bee Springs, which is around Bowling Green, and my dad's side of the family came from Loretta, Kentucky. They both dropped out of school early. My dad, I don't think he got past like third grade. My mom, she made it through seventh grade. And I was the first in our family to actually graduate high school, which was kind of a big deal for us. So again, that was kind of a blessing. But the truth was that we were a very blue-collar family. We didn't have much, but as a kid, you don't really know that because you don't know what you don't have, right? God always gave us what we needed. So that was another blessing in my life. It's just knowing that everything's okay. Now the late 70s and early, late 60s and early 70s were a hard time for jobs. And my dad, he wasn't educated, obviously. He didn't have a professional skill level, so it was hard for him to find a job. But we were blessed because, well, we had the government there. So we had government cheese, and if you haven't had that back in the 70s, it was wonderful. And also food stamps. Now, this was way back when you didn't have the EBT card. You had actually a checkbook, and you had to write it out. So when you went to the store, everybody saw that you were down on your luck. Fortunately for us, though, the part of town that we lived in, everybody was there. So wasn't a big surprise. So the nice thing is that my dad was a really hard worker. So as soon as he could, he got us off of the government quickly, and all the handouts weren't there anymore. But that required him to move around a lot, trying to find a nice job. And what that resulted in was that I attended 7 different schools before I hit high school. Now, if you've ever been the new kid at school, it's not really that easy. It's kind of tough. And to add to that, back then I was a husky boy, or at least that's how my mom described me. I was large. And being new and not being able to fit in like the rest of the kids, it was a bit of a struggle. Kids can be very mean sometimes. So that was something that I had to deal with growing up, but it didn't really bother me a whole much, that much, I guess you'd say. So being in new places, no friends. My sisters, they were young, so it's not like I had anybody to play with. We were moving all over the place. The big deal was that I really felt alone all the time. I felt like I was alone. But something happened in '72. My parents, they decided they needed God. So they decided to look into various churches. My dad was Catholic. My mom was Southern Baptist. We ended up in Southern Baptist, which honestly, I like a little fire and brimstone. Preacher wants to step on my toes every once in a while and tell me how it is. I think I kind of need it sometimes. I think we do a pretty good job of gently doing that here. So it's good. It's good. Very good. So I was 10 when I accepted Jesus into my life, and I was baptized. And of course, that was a big change in my life. I was praying a lot, asking God to protect me and watch over my family. And it was really good. I mean, you're 10 years old. How many things can happen to you, right? Life isn't that bad at 10. So that went on for a few years, but then all of a sudden my dad had an issue with the leadership in the church, and he dropped out. That was the first time I ever heard the word hypocrite. And it kind of stuck with me, and I found out what it was really about. And I know that churches struggle with that. And you need a good church, a good congregation, a good church family to help fight through all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, my dad never did get back into church. He still believes in God, but he's not. He doesn't serve or worship. My mother, she tried really hard to keep us into church, but by the time I hit junior high, well, I just stopped going to services. I kind of went out of it. So from the ages of 14 to 19, I fell from God. I still prayed because I thought that was very important, but I wasn't doing anything other than that. And it was selfish. I was praying for God to take care of me. I didn't want to go to hell, watch over me. This was a tough time because I started getting into, the bad things, lust, drugs, alcohol, making a lot of bad decisions. And I thought the people that I hung out with, I thought they were my friends. But the problem is once you step away from doing all those things and the money and the drugs run out, you're alone. These are not your friends. They're using you. So it took me a while to understand that. I still prayed. It was still selfish, but I believed that I was in a good place with God. I knew that I could talk to God and he would hear me. He would listen to me. But God knew I wasn't ready to change yet. So I was blessed because, like I said, my adopted dad, he was a strong worker. He gave me a great work ethic. And I worked a lot of small jobs when I was younger. And when I turned 18, I started working for Kmart, if anybody remembers that store. I loved that job. It was stocking shelves, working maintenance, blue light specials. I used to do those. It was a fun job. I really, really enjoyed it. And I even made some friends. I lost some weight, got some things together, made some friends, and then 19, I fell in love. Gosh, 19, falling in love. Wow, that's an experience, right? Yeah, so 19, I fell in love, and then she was pregnant. So what do you do at 19 or 20 when you're pregnant? Well, fortunately, we had already planned on getting married, so it was kind of an easy thing. We're going to slide right into that. Problem was that her parents, she was from an upper class family, they didn't like me very much, and she needed to have abortion. We weren't really into that, so it was a big battle, but we did win, and we did have a beautiful little girl. And that was great. I mean, there's another blessing. God's just watching over us. He's helping us get through all the stuff. But our relationship with God wasn't together. It was me and her doing our own thing. So what do you think happens? Now we get a divorce in a couple of years. So now I'm a part-time father, and it hurts me very much. I couldn't see my daughter all the time. I was getting her once a week for dinner. Every other weekend, we'd spend some time together. But I still thought that God was on my side. We're good to go. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, but God's still with me. For some reason, it's still in my head that God's still with me. So during my failed marriage, God was still, like I said, working on me, and He gave me an opportunity to join the company that I still work for today. We're approaching 43 years at the same company. So it's another blessing. I'm just so happy that I'm still at this company. With hard work, never passing up an opportunity. If somebody came to you and said, hey, you want to do this? You just jump on in there and you do it. I worked through various positions throughout the company, several different departments, and I slowly advanced from cutting grass, taking out trash, doing the maintenance, to running the shipping and receiving department and things like that. The company also did something that I'd never heard of before. They offered free college. They were going to pay for my college. That's just another blessing. This was never something that I ever expected in my life. We just didn't talk about college. It wasn't an option. So again, I jumped in both feet. So I'm taking a couple of semesters of college, and things are going pretty good. Now all of a sudden, my boss, Mike, he comes in. Mike's a great guy. He's a Christian, and he ends up becoming a mentor, and he's watching over my career to make sure that I'm going down the right path. Mike has a brother, John, who also works at the same company. He's an active Christian, and he really, really helps me understand the Word of God a lot better. He's a very, very strong Christian, and we're still good friends today. So he's the head of the engineering department. He's the manager and at the same company. He asked me if I'd be interested in moving to the engineering department. And what do I know? I don't know anything. I barely got out of high school. And I'm just taking some silly classes in college. But he asked me to come to the engineering department and work in custom designs. And what do I say? Sure, I'll do it. Yes, I'm in. So I spent about a year and a half in that position, and then Mike comes again, and all of a sudden he's in sales. And he explains to me that the company wants to branch out. So we're a small company when I joined. And we're going international. And we need somebody in the field. We need somebody to go out and drive sales and design product in with our customers. So what do I say? Of course. I put college on hold. They say we want you to cover Southern Europe and the North English area in Canada. So I felt like this was a good position for me. I was blessed to do it. And there's a problem with that, though. If you're a sales engineer in the field, what do? You have to be in the field. So again, here I am going out doing something by myself again, all by myself. I'm running from city to city, and typically I would be on the road every other week. And unless I was going to Europe, it would be 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And again, the biggest problem was I was traveling by myself. I would go from place visiting customers, fly home, just long enough to drop off my dirty clothes and go to the dry cleaner, see my daughter, and then get back on the road again. I did this for like 25 years. But I was blessed. I enjoyed what I was doing. It was fun. It was a fun job. And if you're having fun at your job, it's not really work. So that's kind of how I looked at it. After a day's sales calls, I would go back to the hotel alone. And see, that's not what I wanted. What I really wanted is I wanted to get married. I wanted to have more kids. I wanted a relationship, a strong, loving relationship. And that just wasn't going to happen because I wasn't in town long enough to make that happen. But I did keep praying. I leaned into God. My prayers were still selfish, but I relied on that relationship with God because that's pretty much all I had. Now, in '96, this is when the world fell apart for me. My ex-wife, she wanted to take my daughter to Utah. Her current husband was and is a Mormon, and he wanted to move back to his family. But that meant that he's going to break up my family, which was already split, but it makes it even worse. So of course I wasn't going to let that happen. I got with a lawyer. We're going to fight this, right? And my lawyer told me some bad news. See, when I was young and my wife and I were getting a divorce, we were all good. We all wanted the same thing. We were all on the same team. It was going to be simple. We agreed on everything. We shared a lawyer. That was her parents' idea. Bad idea. I wasn't protected. So there was no way for me to stop them from going to Utah. Crushed me. I was devastated. But I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do, pack my stuff up. I'm going to move to Sacramento, California. The company I work for, they had a manufacturing facility there. I can pick up trash again. They'll give me a job. I'll be close to my daughter. Everything will be great. Well, if you're not familiar with Mormons, the Mormon belief, they're pretty firm on how they deal with people that are outsiders, how they treat outsiders. I wasn't even allowed to be at my daughter's wedding. I wasn't allowed to go inside the temple and be there for her. I had to stand outside in the snow. And of course, we got to see them after the service was over, but it was pretty hurtful. The situation progressively got worse. For a few years, my daughter and I, we didn't really speak that much. The Mormon belief, even today, still keeps us separated in a lot of different ways. I have 4 grandchildren that I rarely get to see. And anyone that has grandkids, that's painful. It's really hard to deal with. But I know God is in control. It's all in His hands. I'm a blessed person. I get that. God works in so many ways. It's strange, see, because I mentioned this guy, my boss, Mike. He comes to me and he's like, I need to talk to you. He pulls me to the conference room and he's like, hey, I heard you're going through some tough stuff. Your ex-wife's trying to take your daughter and she's moving to Utah. Tell you what we're going to do. If you'd like, we'll give Utah as a territory. We'll fly you out there 3 or 4 times a year and you can spend time with your daughter. And I'm like, I can't believe this. What's going on? How? It's God making sure that I'm covered. So, of course, I said yes, and it was great. So I would get to see my daughter, several times, just going out there for business. She'd come home for the summers. But what more could I ask for? I get to keep my job. I love my job. I get to see my daughter. Everything is going well. It's funny though, but when this all started, God will you can pull yourself back into God sometimes when things start getting really rough. I told you I stopped going to church when I was probably 17, 18. So here I am with a daughter, and she's going out to Utah. So now I start searching for a church. I want to get back with God. Now, I do what any really smart person does that doesn't really want to get too involved. Find one of those big churches, right? So me and my daughter, we can sneak in, listen to a little bit of God, throw some money in a plate, sneak out before they even see us coming. So we did that for a few years, and I thought it was okay because I was protecting my daughter, and she was getting the Word of God. Doesn't really always work that way. So now let's fast forward to 2007. I'd given up finding a partner. I'm not going to get married again. We're done with that, right? It was too hard, too much time. My heart was been broken a few times. So then what happens? God steps in again. A friend of mine, we were out playing golf. He says, come over, we have a barbecue. His wife brings over some friends. And that's when I meet my wife, Michelle. We did not get along very well at first. She didn't like men, and I was a man, and just kind of went that way. But we did exchange numbers, and on my next trip home, we met up for dinner. We continued to see each other. And a few months later, Michelle and I started getting serious, and oddly enough, Mike calls again. My boss is all in all of this. And he asked me to take a new role in the company. Now he wants me to be the customer service manager. Now see, everything was going pretty good now. I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed travel. My girlfriend, Michelle, she didn't mind me traveling. She was doing a lot of traveling herself, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I knew I had to say yes. It's my boss. My bonus wasn't going to be that good if I said no. So we say yes. And again, God is working in my life. See, the new position only required me to travel a couple of times a year. So now I'm home. And with me being home, Michelle and I are spending more time together. We actually develop a great relationship. I ask her to marry, she says yes. So I'm blessed again. But it's not always that easy, right? So like most marriages, we had our struggles, and soon after we married, Michelle's father, he was battling cancer, and he came to live with us. And that was a pretty tough situation for a newly married couple, and me being the man of the house, and her father coming in the house, and well, he didn't really like me too much, and it's because we were exactly alike. So yeah, that we bumped heads quite a bit. But he passed away shortly after we married, and then we ended up moving to Florida. And at that time, Michelle's mother was going through some tough stuff. So we're trying to find a home for her in Florida, and before we even get that done, she passes away. So again, it's not really that long, and she's already lost both her parents. And oddly enough, a year to the day of her mother passing, my mom passes. So it was kind of a struggle for us there for a while. Now, I don't know if this has been expressed much here, but family means a lot to me. And it was a challenge moving, all the way down here. Even today, I fly back to visit with my dad every few weeks. He's 82, and about a year ago, he had a heart attack, and he's also been diagnosed with dementia. So I spend as much time as I can with him. And God's allowed me and Michelle to manage that travel. I mean, not everybody can do that kind of stuff. And we're just blessed to be able to still be able to spend time with our family when we want to. So now Michelle is my partner. I'm no longer alone. This is where God wants me to be. However, early in our marriage, she decides to throw me a curveball. She says that we need to find a real church in a real community. I wasn't really excited about the idea. See, God and I, we already had a good relationship. We didn't need to expand on it. However, she found a small Methodist church with maybe 20 or 30 people. And there was a young pastor there. The pastor's name was Dirk, and we developed a strong relationship with him and his wife, Kathy. And I learned that church is not a building. Church is a community. You must attend church. You have to participate. And I didn't sign up for that. I was sneaking in and out of church, but I knew that this is where God really wanted me to be. Dirk was the first pastor to offer me communion. And it still touches me today to think about that time in a little restaurant. We're just talking, and I'm like, no, I've never had communion. And he's like, you want to do it right here? And I'm like, sure. And it was just something very, very special. So again, very, very blessed. And he's the guy that told me there's no such thing as luck, that you're blessed. Now, Michelle is a force in my relationship with the church. She encourages me. She pushes me to stretch myself outside my comfort zone, to join groups, Bible studies, and even, yes, give a testimony. She's one of the reasons that I'm here. I mean, I did pray, but I had to ask her first. I'm so blessed to have a partner, and I know that God watches over us and protects us, and we truly are blessed. God has given us a chance to serve Him, to grow with CPC, and to help others. So this is one of the last things I wrote down, is because I knew what I would be looking at. Fortunately, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see you that well, which is protecting me. But I can stand here and I look out at all you men, and I know that some of you are extremely well educated, college degrees and all that kind of stuff. Some of you own your own businesses and things like that. You have important careers. You're involved deeply with ministers, and I wonder, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I standing here? How did I even get up here? Why are you guys listening to me? I've heard some of you pray. You pray out loud, and it's so impressive. See, I don't have those words. I don't pray that way. Honestly, it's a little intimidating, and I tend to keep my prayers to myself. Mark will tell you. But because I see what God has done for you, it causes me to know that I need to work harder on myself. I understand why I'm here. God knows I need this, and I need to be around good Christian men. I've heard several testimonies at CPC, and my life story isn't really that exciting. I know many guys have come up here, and I've heard great stories. I'm not even sure if my testimony even resonates with anyone. But what I do know is this has caused me to pause. It's caused me to reflect on all the wonderful, happy, challenging, and painful things in my life and the way that God has always been there. The opportunity to give my testimony was a wonderful experience, and maybe you guys will ask me to come back in 20 years and do it again. So thank you very much for allowing me to talk, and God for all the blessings over the years. Thank you. Got a bad leg. Thanks, brother. Oh, thank you.